Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the greatest wrestling promos. Greatest, maybe. We'll find out today. That I think we're going to really push the envelope on that when we get around to today's. But it's not just me. Of course, I'm Steve Dawson. Glad to have you with us. There's Hacksaw Bob Hansen. Ho!
Right.
I had to go solo screen. He was giving the camera the
The wild man, Dave Garland from 4 Left 3D Creations is with us. Check out his Etsy. That's some good stuff. And, of course, from Armchair Directors is the great Michael Mercy. Superstar.
the superstar, not the original one,
That's right.
just a copy.
So,
And we got Steve from Geek Out Loud,
that's me.
and we've got a Stinger promo. Stinger is supposedly closing the books on his career.
Yeah, well, what
Nothing's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. Nothing's for sure. This is around the time of Capital Combat back in I think it was 89, or no, right in the early 90s. This was
90.
Sting was recovering from his knee injury, which was a huge thing. It was a huge deal in not just his career, but they really did a great job incorporating into the story arc of things. And he was on a collision course with Ric Flair, and of course the Four Horsemen were thwarting him at every angle, every opportunity. So he had to bring in some backup. And who came to Sting's aid? And
Who else?
Picking up with, but Robocop.
This guy, Robocop. This is what I want to call this promo. This guy, Robocop.
This guy, yeah. So imagine having to cut a promo where you're like stoked about Robocop being there to be your backup.
So I first started watching NWA during this era. I just started watching when Sting went down. Luger was the fill-in, and I loved that face turn from Luger. I just watched that match actually with my folks the other week. The one that Luger filled in it was Wrestle War, I think.
I think that's right.
And Sting comes down and slaps him in the face. Come on, kick us, you know what?
Yeah.
Man, that still gives me a thrill. Like, that's how you turn a heel face. And then Luger sacrifices the title to save this guy who just saved him a minute before. So, yeah, I have great memories of this, even though a lot of people don't have great memories of Robocop. This was like the golden era of NWA for me.
The Robocop thing is not a great memory. Especially when you watch the match, but it's just the whole idea of let's really promo this thing and let's put some butts in the seats because Robocop's going to be at Capital Combat.
And Dave, what's your experience with NWA?
I didn't really get a whole lot of time to watch that. We didn't have any station that carried anything like that. The only thing that I was able to keep up with that was the wrestling magazines, PWI,
Right on.
and some of the other smaller ones like that, where I would see pictures.
What a rush!
Yeah, like the Road Warriors were totally unknown to me. I never saw them wrestle until they came to WWF, and like with Sting, I never saw him. Flair, never saw him until he came to WWF, and I would have given anything to see them back in the day, like back when I was a kid, watching Hogan and watching, Piper and Junkyard Dog. But I never had a chance to see any of those guys, which I wish I would have, but
You're about to see one. You're about to see one of their best. The Stinger. Bob, did you catch this the first time around?
No, I think I joined into maybe it was a WCW already in 1990.
Yeah.
Either way,
shifting. They were dropping the NWA at this
right.
point.
It was that weird kind of blended blah 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 blah. No, I was sneaking in like maybe every other week. I could sneak in at 6:05. I could watch a little wrestling before my dad took over and watched whatever sporting event was taking place. But yeah, the same thing with the magazines. I would sneak in and slowly learn. I knew Sting, Flair, Luger. I knew Flying Brian and Beautiful Bobby, and I knew Mean Mark I knew Mean Mark for a few months, so that
you had to know the Midnights. I mean, it did not take me long watching NWA for the very first time to realize, first of all, the Road Warriors are awesome. I don't know who these guys are, but they're awesome. And then I quickly realized, oh wow, the Midnight Express are one of the greatest tag teams in the world. If it wasn't for the Hart Foundation, they'd be the greatest tag team in the world.
Yeah, can you imagine the Midnights versus the Hearts?
Missed opportunity.
Never got to have.
I got it. This is a little segue, but I got to sneak this. I forget what it must have been on Cornette's podcast. So Bob, you might remember this one, but they were talking about if Cornette had ever met the Hearts, the Hart Foundation, and I think their paths crossed at an airport or something like that.
Okay.
And Cornette was talking about, and it was when the Hearts were either their first world title reign, maybe their second one, I'm not sure, but Corny had the Midnights, and Corny was talking about, I got the greatest tag team in the world, and the way Corny describes it is so awesome, because he goes, and Bret Hart got this really, like, he got confused. It wasn't offended. It was just confused. It was legitimately confused. And Bret goes, but no, it was almost like childlike, but the way Corny describes it, but no, Jim, that's us. That's the Hart. No, the Hart Foundation is the best team. It wasn't like, yeah, right. Like Kurt Hennig would do, or, a cocky wrestler, Rick Rude. But Bret was like, no, there's been a terrible mistake here. You've been misinformed, like with no cockiness or ego whatsoever. It was just, it's a fact that Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart are the greatest tag team in the world.
I do recall it would have been.
Can you imagine Bobby's reaction to that?
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
I do recall some sort of story of either an airport or hotels in the 86-ish area where there was those things, and that was just the thing that they like a WWF touring wrestler, even an NWA touring wrestler, just didn't have time to check out these TV shows, especially because you had to watch it when they aired. We weren't all flying, or even VHSs weren't flying around as much nearly, so there wasn't everyone knows what everyone's doing.
Yeah,
right.
But, no DVR, no YouTube. No
but
phones.
like I mentioned earlier, like when I first saw Mean Mark for not very long at all, and later that year I saw The Undertaker, my 10-year-old brain started doing the math and going, wait a minute. Because over time passes, and you start, these guys fly around back and forth. They can change names. They can change gimmicks. Like maybe it doesn't say Mean Mark on his mailbox. I don't know.
maybe it doesn't. What? When did Mean Mark die?
This guy looks just like him.
Did the WWF, and I would think Jack Tunney, not Vince McMahon, did Jack Tunney make Mean Mark legally change his name? I don't understand.
Well, I had the same experience when Vinny Vegas showed up, and I'm like, that's that Oz character. That's that Oz dude.
All right, boys, let's get to this promo. It's the Stinger early in his career. There's flashes of the Sting to come. I think there's a little flash of the Joker Sting in there somewhere, but here we go. Sting doing the promo. This guy, Robocop, 1990.
Ric Flair, Arn, Ole, Barry, Sid. The list is about that long now of Horsemen. People continuously still asking me, Sting, what are you thinking? What are you doing? 5 against you, not all the way back 100%, and then this Tin Man or whoever he is. Well, don't underestimate this guy, Robocop, and don't underestimate me either, because if you had to put it in percentages and say, well, Sting, you're only 50%. Think about it. What if I'm more like 90%, Rick? You know what I'm like at about 90%, don't you? You know what I'm like at 100%. 100%, I'm frightening to you, and I know that. I might be just very close to 100%. And the other thing about those odds, I'll just say this again. Everybody in Washington, D.C., when you look around like this and you're backing up from Robocop and Sting for God knows what reason, and you turn around to the people and say, oh my God, I don't know what they're going to do, you won't get any help.
Oh, man. We as wrestling fans are blessed to have had the Stinger. He is just awesome.
I'll say this. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a memorable or quote-unquote great promo from Sting. I'll admit that what Sting lacked in verbal acuity, he completely made up for in his facials and in his charisma. Sting was he was 200 and whatever pounds of muscle and charisma. to go along with the face paint. And the kids loved him. I loved him. I was a little Stinger. I'm still a little Stinger to this day. I've always been behind him, whatever he's chosen to do. Like I remember Sting in UWF. We were fortunate enough where I was at that. I've told this before that there was a dude in Atlanta that bought up a bunch of. He'd buy up the tapes from these other promotions, and he got a block of television on a local station that you could pick up on your UHF band. Everyone, listen, all the old guys know. If you don't know, ask an old guy. And there'd be from starting at like 9 and going all night long, just about. He played UWF, WWF, stuff from Tennessee, NWA stuff, WCCW, like whatever was out there, and he could pay them to come, or they would pay him to put on. It was Joe Pedicino was his name, and bro just had it. And so I knew Sting from Bill Watts UWF when they merged, when Jim Crockett bought out UWF and Sting comes over. I'm stoked. I'm excited. And by this time, of course, Turner had bought out Jim Crockett Promotions, and we're, as we said earlier, we're going out of that NWA, getting straight into just WCW. And this is Horseman, man. And you heard him mention who was there with him. And Sid was on the way to be a part of the Horsemen at some point. But it was Arn, Rick, Ole, and Barry, and Sid was coming on. And it's just like the deck was stacked. And at Capital Combat, again, that's an event I hadn't watched in ages. But here's my memory. They got Sting locked in a shark cage, basically, and he can't get out. So what does Robocop do? He comes marching out with that slow Robocop walk, pulls the door off the cage, and everyone starts backing down from Robocop. Now, all they have to do is run. He's not going to catch them. Robocop is like moving like an old 80s robot. And
how awesome would it have been if the Horsemen went old school Horseman on Robocop, dragged him out into the parking lot, broke his leg.
Yeah, just beat him down. Yeah,
broke his leg, slammed his arm in a car door.
Car door. Yeah, make it good. And so, yeah, but again, this was some of that cross promotion that Turner. Turner's now an entertainment company. They're a media conglomerate. They're cross promoting with Warner Brothers or whoever was the wasn't Warner at the time, but it was whoever had RoboCop, and it still blows my mind because when you watch RoboCop, there's nothing in it that is a kid's movie. It is a rough, violent deal, man, and they're marketing mainly to kids here,
Although there was a cartoon,
yeah, but I don't know when that was.
Yeah, it was 88, 89, the cartoon toy line.
That's
already out. And then the TV show.
Sorry, go ahead.
What's that, Bob?
Fun fact, Capital Combat, some of the promos for the pay-per-view itself were actually, the tagline was Capital Combat. I'd buy that for
$1. Dave, have you done any Sting wrestling figure bases with a pink scorpion?
No, I have not. Not a whole lot of pink in Sting. Outside of the Hart Foundation and Rick Rude, not a whole lot of pink in any of what I do, actually.
So, Sting, what do you want on your shirt? Give me one of those pink scorpions.
Well, now look, understand the era. This is the late 80s, headed into the 90s. Neon is the rage.
Yeah, they didn't have lime green.
Yeah, well, no, he had some lime green. Sting would pump up, but this was the shirt, that blue and pink shirt, man. Like that is etched into my soul as the Sting T-shirt for that time.
I think RoboCop should have come out in neon pink and lime green.
Oh, sure he should have. But I doubt Sting was in that shirt I don't remember what he wore at Capital Combat, but he had the black trunks at that time with the Scorpion that had just the rainbow of neon colors running up it.
Right.
This is if you're used to Sting as we see him today, that's what was so great about that shift in that character in the late 90s is that this is who Sting was for years and years and years. Sting was the charismatic, bright and colorful, yelling, never did a Jake the Snake. You know, he never got close and whispered. He never did a macho where he's like down here for a little bit.
Yeah.
He was always up here, and he's always and that's who he was. And
Woo!
so, yeah. So when he shuts down and goes completely silent, there was Steam detox for me during that period of time.
It was a Crow movie. It's exactly what the Crow movie was about. The talented, charismatic rocker who all of a sudden is just black and white and stoic, and that's what Sting did. And he's to pull off the over-the-top charisma, as well as you would, you know, from a distance, Crow Sting might look like a charisma vacuum, but he's not. He's like a charisma. He's charismatic as well without doing much. It's an old Clint Eastwood line. One of Clint Eastwood's acting coaches told him, "Don't just do something, stand there."
Yeah. Yeah.
He was telling Clint when he was young, "You're doing too much. Look, you're 6'6" and you look amazing. Stop doing things. Just stand there. It's enough." And it's true. Some people who just have a magnetic personality don't really need to do much. And it's funny because Sting was able to play both sides. He was able to beat the chest and do everything very energetic and charismatic, keep right up with the Ultimate Warrior in terms of energy. And then at the same time, just stand there and you can't take your eyes off him either.
Well, it's an interesting path that both those took, of course, being the tag team they were early on, and the path they kind of both took, you know, with Warrior going a little more out there and spiritual and strange with his, and Sting just like, I'm in your face, I'm going to do this, I'm the coolest guy in the room, even with my face painted up like this, and he knew it, man. I want to mention, I pulled up a picture of an advertisement for Capital Combat 90, and at the bottom it's got Robocop, and in front of Robocop you've got a picture of the Road Warriors, and at the bottom it says, "Watch for Robocop 2 coming this summer to theaters everywhere."
Oh, no.
And so that's what the cross promotion was.
One.
Yeah, that's what the cross promotion was, you know. But
didn't a kid get mutilated in part 2?
I don't know. I've never seen Robocop 2. I think I've
kind of like disgusting medical procedure and mutilated. Wow. Like the second one was really, really grisly too.
But when he says, people are like, that Tin Man with you, he's like, this guy Robocop.
That guy Robocop.
That guy Robocop.
This guy. Some guy Robocop.
Yeah, some guy Robocop. Like, hey, buddy, you're supposed to be selling this thing, but like you could. And then there was another part where he's like, and I don't know what you're going to be backing up from Robocop. I don't know what he's going to do. Like, it's almost incredulous that Robocop would be there. Like, there's that underlying thing. You can almost kind of sense the incredulity that Robocop is going to show up at wrestling. So as much as Tiny Lister did it for me over in WWF, this did it for me over in WCW. Like,
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really took you out of the wrestling world and made it just almost like a spoof of itself.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and Eric Bischoff will tell you what a great cross promotion thing this is. He did it with Chucky in the 90s, you know, with a Child's Play sequel of some sort at Halloween Havoc. And it's just like, no, it's not. It does not further good storytelling. You know, there's a better way. We're brought to you by this movie. Check out the trailer for this thing. You know, we're pleased to bring you the first look at this, but don't bring in characters from fictional movies as though they are legit players to be participants in this in the drama that is playing out on the wrestling mat. You know, and that's what they did with RoboCop, unfortunately.
It's really the difference between WWF and NWA, WCW. To me, it's still NWA. I think the rings even still said NWA. It shows you the difference. Zeus, put him in the ring twice.
Yeah.
NWA, get this idiot to pull a door off and get the hell out and never want to see him again. We're stuck with them.
Yeah.
Get him in and out in a minute.
Like, I guess the guy in the costume, of course, he couldn't. The guy in the RoboCop suit couldn't climb stairs. I mean, Zeus was just in tights. But also the thing about, you guys mentioned, like, Sting is like, he's never known for his great promos or great amazing things he said, but it's just the charisma that carries through. It's almost like every little thing he does is magic. So when you watch him, you don't have to put on the red light. It's like every breath he takes and every step he makes, like, and he'll be watching him.
I'll be watching him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really good.
I'm so pleased with myself.
So, yeah. Way to go, Bob. Way to bring that up.
Bob, did you know there was a singer named Sting?
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what's interesting is I think Sting has the copyright on the name Sting.
right. Yeah, I've heard this.
I think he actually owns it, which is crazy. Which is
well,
crazy to think about.
I would think like if either of them had it, it would be the wrestler with all the toys and the wrestling buddy pillows and
Sure.
stuff. Like I would imagine the singer would just be like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like whatever. I'll go by Gordon. I don't care.
When Sting did a WWE run in 2015 for a couple of matches, what a missed opportunity to have. Let's say Sting isn't supposed to be there in storyline. Security
Gordon Sumner.
Sure, like no, I mean no Sting the wrestler, but so security ushers him out, and maybe Sting comes back at the end of the show, becomes a threat through the show. So when Sting and the security guards finally face off for the second time because Sting is trying to get to whatever bad guy, they missed an opportunity to have the announcer say Sting has reunited with the police.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was worth the wait.
Bob, you're a comedian, so I'm going to say you went way around the way to get to that punchline.
There's no holds that are barred from this.
I want to see someone take Sting's debut in the WWE. You know, when he came out and confronted Triple H at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
I'd love to see someone deep fake the singer Sting over top of the wrestler.
Yeah.
So like the commentary stays the same. It's Sting
coming to the ring to Fields of Gold or something like
Yeah.
that. Something really mellow.
Money for nothing and your chicks for free.
Now,
Desert Rain.
I thought you were going to say they missed an opportunity to actually have Robocop show up for some reason because, you know, they were doing stuff like that in WWE for a while.
Can you imagine if Robocop shows up to the retirement match in AEW?
Oh man, he should. He totally should. So so
they would do it.
I've pulled it up and I'm looking at it and I'm telling you, they had Sting down by the ring in a shark cage, and Robocop comes out like just as slow as molasses, just moving, and it's not the guy who played Robocop. It's like just someone in a Robocop suit. He tears off the cage door and just stands there. Then that's all he's got to do, you know.
I think something fell off him too. I think like one of his panels was falling off or something.
Did it? That's awesome. I didn't notice that.
But if I remember right, something was malfunctioning with the suit.
Well, Sting's shirt's about to fall off of him because it's a real muscle tee kind of thing going on, and he's got his pink pants on. So, yeah, it was awesome. Golly, so crazy.
Great promo by the Stinger. Agree with you 100%, Steve. You can't really remember much of what Sting says other than it's showtime.
Right.
You know, when he finally got that catchphrase.
Yeah.
Finish it off with. And then the only thing that's for sure about Sting, the Stinger, is nothing's for sure.
Yep.
So his quotables, his memorable catchphrases have been few and far between. But back in these days, the Surfer Sting days, yeah, it didn't matter what he's almost like the Ultimate Warrior in that sense. It's just speaking a bunch of nonsense, but because he's happy instead of angry, then it's a better time. It's a more feel-good time than the Warrior, which would usually just leave you all confused as a young man. I find as an older man, it pumps me up though for the gym. What about you, Bob? What do you feel after you hear a Warrior promo?
Nowadays, I hate to do this to the show. It's kind of depressing. And and I'm talking in terms of not just the fact that he's not alive anymore, but more so in terms of like the legacy. I don't think I watched some of those old promos and I'm like, some of them made the shorter ones, especially for like Saturday Night's Main Event, made a little more sense than people give credit for. I think sometimes with the Warrior, the people in revisionist history, just to be cool and goof on him, people pretend that he was this, that the WWF tried to put this cosmic kind of like space Jesus character down our throats. Where if you really listen to the commentary, especially with Gorilla and Jesse Ventura, for a lot of the Warriors 89, 90 stuff. They were trying to tell us this guy is jacked, he's huge, he can hurt you, and he's crazy enough to believe he is this jacked up space divine.
Greek
deity.
mythology,
Right.
I don't know where this space stuff, I guess it's just a term he's in outer space.
Well, he says stars and space and galaxy like all the time. And
But that's
planets.
all Greek.
Load them into the rocket ship, Hogan. That
Yeah, like
rockets,
Greek
like-
constellations and stuff like that. He was into like ancient mythology, and someone who's never cracked a history book and has no interest in anything that happened more than 20 years ago is going to think that's so odd. But I mean, if you want to know what's going on in the world today, crack a history book and read about things that happened 1,000 or 2,000 years
Sure.
ago.
And that's-
Did he not have the roots of the character kind of in an almost Native American kind of stuff? Is that not some of the stuff he was going for?
In the what?
Yeah, like Native American, indigenous tribes.
Yeah, like the visuals definitely.
Right.
Yeah, it was a blend of a bunch of different things.
Thing is, guys, with Sting being born again, he has done various videos and seminars, whatever, with Ted DiBiase, with Shawn Michaels. But the first born again person for Sting to team up with would be Robocop.
That's true.
Oh man, that was glorious.
Oh,
He's Robocop, not the first born again person.
And the funny thing is, like, Paul Verhoeven actually wanted RoboCop to be a Christ allegory. He intentionally, when he was making RoboCop, he was like the connection to Christ. So they never mentioned Jesus or Christ in RoboCop, but know that the director studied Christian, Christ history and made a concerted effort to make Alex Murphy Christ-like in that movie. So there you go. The things we discover on Greatest Wrestling Promos.
It's all tied
There's
together, man.
so much beneath the surface of these little 2-minute promos.
wow. Of all
Wow.
the things I expected out of this one, not that one. All right.
Awesome. Let's get out of here. Let's get to the next one.
Run away.
All
Run
right.
away.
Let's sign off. You can see me on Armchair Directors. You can catch Dave's awesome LJN stands at 4 Left 3D. Bob is doing the thing, telling jokes. Check him out on Instagram. And Steve, check him out on Geek Out Loud, geekoutpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks, guys, for joining. Take care, everyone. Cheers.